There's an expression in Germany and it's called kommst du heute nicht, kommst du morgen. It's actually not the one I want to say, but it's the one that came up when I want to say it. And it means if you don't come today, you'll come tomorrow. And I really have the feeling that we kind of forgot about the meaning of this. Because you see, you say, if you don't come today, you come tomorrow. It's usually said by the person who's waiting for someone. Only they're not really waiting. They're actually quite relaxed about it. It's like in other cultures, like Africa. You come, and then maybe you come half an hour later. But nobody really cares because you don't really set times. You just get going when you feel like it. You can say, yeah, we're gonna meet at 3. But then you still have that option, or not an option, but you still see how it's going. Because in Germany, if you're like 10 minutes late or 20 minutes late, people always give you shit for it. Because they think you have to be in time. But you are in time. In your own time. And not in their time. Because to them it's important to be there exactly at 3 because they still have stuff to do with children and whatever. Yeah, but then it's your problem that your entire schedule or schedule is so full. You should just meet a few less friends. There was this one guy, and you really had to book him weeks in advance because they were meeting people all the time. All the time. So if you wanted to spend time with him, you always had to let him know in advance. And I sometimes have the habit, or had the habit, I might still have it, depends, if I feel I want to do it, to just randomly meet people. So I would just go to their house, ring the bell, unannounced, and then they would be all flustered. Oh, you should have called beforehand because now I'm in my pajamas. What the fuck? Like, can't you be a bit more spontaneous? So if we said 3, but it turns out that I have other things to do, and I can only make it 3:30, then I should be allowed to go on about my business and then come later. And I also have the feeling it should be okay to not inform you, because you could just use the time that I'm gonna be late and, for example, meditate or, ponder on some kind of problem that you have. Of course, if I do this all the time and you don't like it, you can, as a consequence, ban me off your friends list, right? So all these people with all these schedules and, me spontaneously showing up in their house instead of being happy about it, telling me I should have called beforehand, I can say fuck you from the bottom of my heart, because I think you should be loosen up a bit. So in the end, I just didn't do it anymore. Didn't spend time with them anymore. And one reason maybe because it just got overly complicated. Also people telling me always they would do certain things but then they don't? And why am I always the one that thinks he's screwed up? Like if I'm having a friend and that friend suddenly treats me like shit, then I always think it's my fault. Whereas it probably is not. It's probably their fault because they have some issue, something inside of them that they didn't deal with, whereas I dealt with most of my shit. So I don't have to take people's shit anymore, unless I want to. But I also don't think I help them if I take it. I think I help people more if I show them this is your shit, take care of it. Otherwise people might get really nasty at you. Because that's what I started to do. If somebody treats me disrespectful, I can get really nasty. And not in a, I'm gonna insult you way, but I'm gonna like set you really firm boundaries and you're not gonna like it very much. But next time you're gonna be a bit nicer to me because you're actually scared of me. That's the kind of mentality I had to establish for myself to keep people off my back. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Yeah. Another topic in this last video where I was talking about stuff, I talked about saying no to helping others and helping yourself first. So today I more or less slept the entire day. I first thought about working on the book, didn't feel like it. Then I thought about slacklining in the park, and I thought I don't feel like it. And then I thought about chopping more wood, and I thought I don't feel like it. And I thought I'll just sleep and I'm gonna do nothing today. And I think that's perfectly okay. So what did I do instead? I slept a lot. Plus, I read a bit in a book, Harry Potter, the 6th one, because somehow I'm concerning myself with magic, and that's also why I'm going to watch The 10th Kingdom after this. It's a really great mini-series of 5 movies or episodes in movie length, and it's really well made. It's from 2000 and I can only recommend that to you. The 10th Kingdom. I think they have it on Prime. Right now I'm watching it on YouTube because somebody was nice enough to put it on there. It's not very well known, and it's not like state-of-the-art. Well, it actually is, but not what most people would consider state-of-the-art animations, because it's done in a more or less simplistic way, but it did not strive for perfection. And that's what I see when I watch these Marvel shows. Everything is just so perfect all the time. Like, it's boring. It doesn't have this gentleness of like a fairy tale anymore. Or this, I don't know. It's missing the magic. There's too much ego in there, like, you know, like in that new movie Eternal, like with his fist and then yeah, it's just getting, I think as a comic series it was probably really great because you actually dive in there, you can like imagine stuff happening, and then you watch the show and it's just all dead. Just like, I have a six-pack and that's why I can throw you across the room. Yeah, sure. Also, I don't know if I don't want to do like too many recommendations, but I do take the time to watch movies sometimes because I like watching movies. And some of them are real treasures. For example, there's a really old movie called Lady Hawk. Like, towards the end it gets like really like romantic, like gooey romance, you could call it. It's like really gooey, but still nice. The whole story, the concept, you know, the way they shot it, what you can actually do just with camera perspectives and stuff. You know, they were really creative people. You know, they worked with what they had available. You didn't just have like a team of animators. I mean, look at Monty Python. Like, how is it called? I actually almost knew the entire movie by heart because I watched it so often. But at one point it's just, you know, if the entire movie doesn't take itself serious, it gets boring after a while. There have to be parts where it doesn't take itself serious, and then parts where it takes itself very serious. Because otherwise, nobody can take it serious anymore. And then it gets just boring. Because at one point the joke, you know, you can only laugh to a certain amount, in my perspective. At one point it's just not funny anymore, after a while. So it's like one joke after another. Well, we've had a laugh. You know, now the story should just be good and not just ridiculous. But yeah, it's that one with King Arthur. I'm Arthur, King of the Britons. King of the who? King of the Britons. Who are the Britons? We all are, and I am your king. Didn't know we had a king. Yeah, something like that. See, I rather make my own comedy somehow. Doing impersonations is also fine. Of course, you have to have an audience to somehow make comedy. So Nightmare Alley is a great movie. Yeah. I'm not gonna say more than that, because anything I would say would just ruin it. Because you can't describe this entire movie with words. It just had a good story. And it had a message, I believe. If you are open for messages, because you can, for example, watch The Avengers and look for hidden messages, like hidden truth that applies to you. But it's quite hard because there's just too much special effects. So there's not actually a lot of story in these Avenger movies. Whereas if you watch a movie like Nightmare Alley, there are so many important details to pay attention to. And like that show, The 10th Kingdom, that never gets boring. Well, of course you should let some time, pass before you watch it again. But just in general, some things don't get boring. It's like these old turtle movies, like with the real humans. They're amazing. They're timeless. It's my belief. But we're stuck in this, everything has to be perfect and neat, and like your beard has to be like this, and you shouldn't have hair here, and like I have hair growing out of, I don't know, these parts, like quite long ones, like this. Some people hate that. Well, occasionally I take them out, but then I just let them grow again, I'm not really fussy about it. I used to shave off this bit here, because I thought it has to be like a straight line. Somebody once asked me if I pluck my eyebrows. Like, no. I used to do it in the middle, but everything else just grows as it is. Like, why can't you just look the way that you look like? Why does everything always have to be changed on the outside and adjusted, whereas it is so much more about the inside change? But it is still nice if you work on yourself spiritually. That means regarding your spirit. If you don't just work on yourself physically, that's not going to get you very far. Like multiple people have shown that. You don't have to recreate this because they're already doing it. And then you end up in Hollywood, where you cannot show emotions because somebody just made an inappropriate joke about your wife. Like, seriously. I mean, they're all a bunch of actors and stuff. But they don't have to put up such an act. And you don't have to be an asshole to somebody's wife just because you're a comedian and you stand on top and you try to be funny on somebody else's expense. Like, I believe what happened is showing once more that they're all a bunch of cowards. Like, if you slap somebody in the face to protect your wife and to show maybe like that you're a man, like, you should stand for that. You don't start crying in the end and apologize because maybe he deserved it. Because if you make jokes about somebody's wife and you're hiding it, and then you don't even have the balls to take a slap in the face like a man because you screwed up. Well, then you're not a man, are you? And you're just a coward. And if you then... But I get it, right? I mean, they're in this community of fake people. I mean, an actor is basically a paid liar. I've been watching videos of actors in interviews, and most of them are completely fake. They're completely fake. All of them. The one person I quite like is Tom Hardy because he's a genuine person. But I don't know how he will develop then over time, of course. But he seems like he actually knows who he is. He's like tough, right? And most people just act tough, but they're actually not. Well, I could just act tough. I could just sit here like... Unless you would ever sit opposite of me to actually find out what's the deal with me, you'll never truly know. You can just watch the stuff I do and you can believe that I know what I'm talking about, but in the end you don't. It's like watching somebody on YouTube talking about Bitcoin, claiming that he's a millionaire. Well, you don't know if he's a millionaire. He could just say that. And then you listen to these people and you think you're gonna make money like that. No. Do you know what earns you money? Hard work. Smart hard work. And knowing what to work for. So making a plan and not just doing what everybody else does, but figuring out from what people did, you know, how could I create my life how I want it to be? But for that you have to grow internally first, spiritually, in order to grow then. And growing spiritually is not about just meditating. It's about getting out of your comfort zone and growing as a person. That is the most important thing. Do stuff. Show who you are. And don't just talk about who you are. Oh, I'm super rich, blah, 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 blah. Well, you just showed us who you are by talking about it like that. And if you act tough and slap somebody in the face on behalf of somebody else, and then you're like, oh, I'm so sorry. Well, that's the person who you really are. That guy who's crying, and, oh, I'm so sorry. You know, that's behind the act. He's actually scared as shit. He doesn't want his friends to abandon him. You know? Because now he's complained all these years about black people don't get Oscars. Now he got one and now he wants to keep it, right? I mean, any person in his situation, instead of slapping the person in the front, in the face, he could have just laughed. And he could have just said, you know, I don't want the Oscar. No, but he wants it because people are admiring me. I have the Oscar. Finally, a black person had an Oscar. Of course there's stuff like racism and whatnot, but, you know, figure it out.